Welcome to the section of this course on advanced charts. In the previous section we learned about basic charts used in Tableau, its uses and how to create them. In this section we'll explore additional techniques for creating more advanced charts in Tableau. Some of the charts introduced in this section are quite effective for specific use cases. For example, the waterfall chart for showing cumulative changes to a measure, and the population pyramid for showing population over time. The other charts that we'll be covering will help you in exploring and testing your dataset with different charts. These charts can help you uncover insights in ways we don't expect, or they may surprisingly convey information much more clearly than the chart we had originally intended to use. Let's get started with the first video of this section in learning about creating a histogram. In this video we'll create a histogram that will visualize the most common heights and weights of NBA players based on a 2014 NBA Players Stats data source. Histograms are graphs that plot frequency distribution of data. Let's get started. Begin by opening the File Section 2 workbook in Tableau. Use the worksheet called Histogram and connect to the Player Stats NBA Players Regular Season 2009 data source. Now let's take a look at how to do it. Under Measures, right-click on Height Inch and select Create and then Bins. Set the bin size to 5 and hit OK when done. This will create a new discrete field called Height in Bin under the Dimensions section of the sidebar. Now, under Dimensions, right-click on Height in Bin and select Aliases. Let's change the alias values of the member items to the following. To edit the alias, simply click on the Value Alias field and that field will become editable. We need to now create another bin for weight pounds under Measures and set this size to 10. This will create a new discrete field called Weight Pounds Bin under the Dimensions section of the sidebar. Now from Dimensions, drag Year to the Filters shelf and filter to the year 2009. Then from Dimensions, drag League to the Filters shelf and filter to N. Great! Again from Dimensions, drag Height in Bin and Weight Pounds Bin to columns. Now right-click and drag Player ID to rows. This will open up a new window showing all possible values that can be added. Choose CNTD Player ID, which means the number of unique players. Awesome! We can see some changes here. Right-click on the highest marks in the 75 to 79 pounds and choose Annotate and then Mark. Let's do the same for 80 to 84. As you can see, this will display the height, weight and hash mark of the NBA players in these highest marks. Now let's see how it works. Tableau supports the creation of histograms. Histograms are charts that show frequency of distribution of data and are best when data can be broken down into clear groups. The first step is to typically create the bin first. This can be done by right-clicking the measure you want to bin and selecting Create and then Bins. When you do this, Tableau will suggest a bin size based on your dataset. Once you click OK, a new dimension field gets created. This field also gets its own icon that looks like a small histogram with normal distribution to signify a bin data type. Once the bin is created, this bin field can be placed in either rows or columns. To display the frequency distribution, typically we place a count or a count distinct of another dimension in the other shelf. However, we can definitely place other aggregations and these may give us different insights about our data. For example, here I've placed average points and average 3 points made alongside CNT Player ID. At a glance, this tells us that taller players tend to not make as many successful 3-point shots compared to shorter players. We're measuring not just the number of players based on their height and weight buckets, but also the average points and 3 points they make. When we do a quick Google search on histogram, the images that we find will look a little bit different than the histogram we create in Tableau by default. Histograms from the search engine typically have the bars touching. This is because histograms use continuous variables in the axis. Tableau implements histograms a little bit differently. Notice that when we created the bin, the new bin field gets placed in the dimension, and the icon is blue, meaning it's discrete. Because it's discrete, in Tableau it produces headers, not a continuous axis, when placed onto either rows or columns. This also means that, by default, there will be gaps between the bars. We can, however, make our Tableau histogram look similar to a typical histogram by altering the size of the bars manually and making them wider until the edges touch. Great! In this video, we learnt to create a histogram in Tableau.